Hey everyone, Sebastian here, back again with another question from Bluebook Test 1. This time, reading and writing, Module 2B, question 4. It's another words and context question. If you notice, I've sort of switched up the header right to include the Bluebook test number and the reading and writing like little label, just to sort of help everyone keep track, including myself. This is labeled hard, but let's see just how hard it is. Some scientists have suggested that mammals in the Mesozoic era were not a very blank group. But paleontologist Zhezhi Luo's research suggests that early mammals living in the shadow of dinosaurs weren't all ground-dwelling insectivores. Fossils of various plant-eating mammals have been found in China, including species like Velvelodon diplomilis, which Luo says could glide like a flying squirrel. And then our choices are predatory for A, then B is obscure, C, diverse, and D, localized, right? And the question is the classic, which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase? So, I want you to notice that even though this is labeled as a hard question, the words themselves aren't that bad, right? Predatory has to do with being a predator. Obscure is something that's not well known. Diverse is something that has a lot of variety in it. And localized is like in a specific location, right? So those aren't too complicated, but it's hard because we have to follow the argument, and it's a subtle argument, right? So some scientists have suggested that mammals were not a very something group. And then we're told that paleontologist Zhezhi Luo's research suggests, because of the but, right, there's a pivot, that early mammals living in the shadow of dinosaurs weren't all ground-dwelling insectivores. Okay? And then fossils of various plants have been found in China, including species like Velvelodon, which Luo says could glide like a flying squirrel. So they could glide like a flying squirrel. They weren't all just ground-dwelling insectivores. Insectivores, if you didn't know, right, would be having to do with eating insects. So neither thing is talking about them eating animals, right? And if anyone was, it's Luo with the insectivores part. So you could think, oh, predatory, right? But then but she's saying they're not all eating insectivores. So it's not predatory. Obscure is little known. We're not a very obscure group. That doesn't really fit here, right? If they'd be known or not. So then we're between diverse and localized. If they're not localized, right, that means they're spread out. But she's not saying they are localized. She just mentions that they're found in China, but she's not saying that's the only place. And then diverse. We're not a very diverse group. So that'd be saying they're all very similar. And then it says, but paleontologist Zhezhi Luo's research suggests that early mammals living in the shadow of dinosaurs weren't all ground-dwelling. So she's saying they're not all the same type. So she's saying they are diverse, right? And then the first part is saying they're not very diverse. So there's a subtle switch, right? So that's where the pivot's happening. So it should be C. They're saying that the group is pretty similar to each other, the individuals in the mammal group. And then she's saying, but there is some sort of variety involved. So they are somewhat diverse. And because of the but, we know they're in opposition, and diverse is in opposition to the all ground-dwelling insectivores part, right? Them not all being all ground-dwelling. So it's C. I think the tough part here, and the thing you want to notice, is that we have a double negative. We have a negative here, we're not, and then we have it again here. So they're saying that they're not a diverse group, and then she's saying they're not the same group. And that's how the opposition happens, right? I think the double negative is what throw people off, because you'll be like, well, they're saying it's a diverse group, and then she's saying they're not diverse. So it gets confusing. So you want to keep track of that as well, along with the transitions, to know exactly how the argument is progressing or how it's changing as we go along. And again, the words aren't that hard here. A lot of times the vocabulary itself isn't the challenge. It's the flow of the argument. So you want to focus on that. Obviously, use the answer choices to help you fill them in and then see how it makes sense. And predatory, obscure, and localized don't really come up. But the fact that they're not all of one type is talking about whether they are or are not diverse, or are not homogeneous or something, right? So that's how I do this one. If you have a different way of doing it, I would love to know that. And if you have questions, always let me know those as well. But I hope it is sunny where you are, and if it's raining, I hope it's cleaning your windows and watering your plants. Bye.